This episode today of Weekly Momentum is coming straight from over 60 hours of coaching conversations that I've had just in the last 3 weeks. I've been sitting with women at every stage of business, women with million-dollar companies, women preparing to exit or to wind things down, and also women who are gearing up for their next chapter of growth with excitement. Different industries, different scales, and the same themes keep showing up. So as you listen to this week's episode, I want you to simply notice, do any of these feel familiar? Welcome to Weekly Momentum for Women in Business. This podcast is for smart, capable women who are doing meaningful work and want it to feel better as they grow. I'm the Get It Done Diva, and every week this is your opportunity to pause, reflect, and reset your momentum. We'll talk about habits over hustle, structure with soul, and how to move forward with intention, not pressure. So if you're building a business, if you're leading a team, navigating a transition, or simply feeling like you need a little momentum, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. So there's 7 themes that I'm going to cover today because I went through all of the notes from the coaching sessions. It's been a great few weeks. And I've been really enjoying my coaching sessions, as always, with my clients. But I've noticed particularly some themes have been cropping up. So I thought, what a great thing to bring to this podcast, because if this is what I'm hearing right now with my clients, most likely these topics are going to be things that you're going to benefit from hearing about. And maybe as I share some of the challenges that my clients are having and the solutions that we're coming up with, it's going to give you some inspiration and ideas of how you can move forward, because most likely you're going to be struggling with at least one of these challenges, if not more. So let's dive into the 7 biggest challenges that women in business are having right now as we step into a new year in 2026. And these are challenges that are going to be hitting a little bit differently because you're not the person you were a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And so your challenges are going to be a little bit different because both you are different and the environment that you are in is different. And so we're going to be specifically diving into why this is relevant and why this challenge is coming up right now, and maybe some ideas for some solutions for you to move forward and get back into momentum around it too. What really clued me in was that I was hearing a lot of the clients saying, I've handled hard things before, but this feels different. And in 2026, we're seeing there's really smaller margins for error. There's less tolerance for burnout. And there is a deeper awareness of the cost of our actions on our time, our energy, and our health. The last few years have trained us to hold more, to adapt faster, and given us resources and tools and supplements to push longer. Now our bodies, our businesses, and our systems, they're starting to push back. This isn't a motivation issue that we're facing right now. This is a capacity recalibration, you might call it, because the conditions have changed. Over the last several years, women have taken on more roles. We've become more adaptable to different situations and skills. We've learned to function in constant uncertainty. That strength worked until it didn't. Now in 2026, what I am seeing is there's less margin for error. There's less tolerance, thank goodness, for stress. And there's more awareness of the cost of pushing through. And what I want you to take away from this episode is that this right now is a recalibration phase. It's not a failure phase. So let's really dial in now on the 7 challenges that I'm hearing from my clients. And I'm going to start each one of these off by sharing what I'm hearing a lot of them say. Now, not every client is experiencing all 7 of these challenges, but definitely multiple clients are having the same challenges. These are not isolated challenges. So each of the 7 are ones that I'm hearing a lot of noise around. So the first challenge that I'm hearing a lot from my clients comes across as, I feel busy all the time, but I'm not making the progress that I expected. Women are not lazy, right, ladies? We're not unfocused. Our days are packed. We are in meetings. We're responding to messages on multiple different platforms now. And we're supporting teams, clients, families. We're solving problems all day long. And yet at the end of the week, this is what we're saying to ourselves. I don't feel like I moved anything important forward. And this creates a self-doubt. Why am I still behind? What am I missing? Shouldn't I be further along by now? We might be asking ourselves. Now, why is this worse in 2026? Work's become more fragmented because there are more interruptions and disruptions, more distractions, more inputs, more expectations, with fewer uninterrupted blocks of thinking time. So our effort stays high, but the completion goes down. Here's how this challenge might show up for you. You might be experiencing the feeling of being constantly behind, even though you've got like these full days. Maybe you're feeling mentally and emotionally exhausted. Maybe you feel like you have too many priorities and they're all competing for your attention. You're confusing activity with progress. And there's this lack of visible evidence of momentum. So you might be saying to yourself, I feel busy all the time, but I'm not making the progress I expected, like my clients. You might be saying, I'm busy all day, but at the end of the week, I don't feel like I actually moved anything forward. I feel behind, and I don't even know behind with what. Because when I ask my clients, they often don't know. My days are full, but nothing feels complete. I should be further along than this, right? I'm doing a lot. I just don't know if I'm doing the right things. Now, in 2026, you have fewer quiet stretches. Work is starting to bleed into life, especially around social media and emails. Pressure is on, and there's less slack and space in our schedules. Even capable women feel behind because they're doing work that used to work in a season now that is requiring something different. So here's what I'm telling my clients. Let's slow this down and decide what actually matters this week. We're going to take a few things off your plate first. I'm saying to them, you don't need more time. You need to have fewer priorities. And I'm asking them to define progress so that they can actually see themselves making it. What would enough look like right now? Simplifying your focus to fewer, more high impact priorities and using, of course, weekly momentum and daily planning to have top priorities, not overloading. Yes, that not to-do list to remove a lot of these hidden energy drains that might be showing up. And of course, progress tracking that's going to really show that you are making movement. The biggest reframe around this challenge is around the definition of productivity, from it meaning doing more to productivity meaning doing what matters. When I help my clients to do that, they feel caught up, they feel calmer, and they feel confident again. Now let's look at the second challenge. What my clients are saying is, I know something has to change, but I just can't see the next clear step. And what's happening is there's too many transitions at once. Many women aren't changing just one thing. They're navigating shifts in how they want to work, changes in family and roles or caregiving. They're evolving their identities as a leader, as an expert, as a mentor. And there's questions that they're having around legacy or sustainability. That's a lot of things changing and transitioning all at once, and it's overwhelming, more so than at any time in our lives before. My clients are saying, I know something has to change, or just don't know what first because they're overwhelmed. Transitions and changes used to happen maybe one at a time. Now they're stacked. And when transitions stack, decision fatigue sets in. You don't need to reinvent your entire life at once. What you need is to sequence the changes so it feels steady instead of chaotic and doing everything at once. In 2026, more women are reassessing their business models, which is big changes. They're dealing with aging parents, changing family roles. They're shifting away from one-on-one businesses. They have a desire for work that fits their life, not overtakes it. And all of these transitions are stacking on top of each other instead of happening one at a time. So the reframe I'm giving my clients here is transitions don't need urgency. They need sequencing. If you're feeling like, I know something has to change, but I can't see the next clear step, you're experiencing business or life transition anxiety. You're feeling stuck between old models of doing things and new possibilities. If you're afraid of making the wrong move, or you have maybe too many ideas with no sequencing, with no sense of how to execute them in a logical way or order. Maybe you feel like you're outgrowing the identities that you have that are tied to some of the roles that you used to play. My clients are saying things like, I know I can't keep doing it this way. I feel like I'm in between chapters. They're saying there are so many options. I don't know which one is the smart move. I don't want to make the wrong decision. Sometimes they're telling me, I feel like I'm circling something, but I just can't land. What I'm telling them first and foremost is you don't have to decide everything. Just decide the next step. If we can figure out a sequence for these transitions, then we can prevent you from blowing up what's actually working in the process. I'm telling them, let's look at what this next chapter is asking of you. You don't need certainty. You just need a little clarity. And I'm encouraging them to design the next transition instead of forcing themselves into it without thinking it through. Some of the things that you can do if you're feeling this way and it's resonating with you is really get a strategic plan going. Take some time to vision, to plan. Think in terms of sequencing your transitions instead of just leaping blindly into them. And I know I'm always talking about planning for the future, but also plan for the exit as well as the next chapter with your roadmap. Use decision-making frameworks that can reduce your fear and just focusing on one intentional shift or transition at a time. What this is doing for my clients is giving them clear direction and confident decisions without feeling overwhelmed. Are you doing okay? Holding on there? Let's jump into the third challenge. What I'm hearing a lot of my clients saying is, my planning isn't working anymore. They're experiencing planning that no longer fits their real life. They're still planning, but it feels off. Some of the things they might be saying to me are, I make plans, but I don't use them. Why is this different in 2026? Traditional planning assumes stable energy, predictable capacity, linear progress. But that's not reality. That's not the world that we're living in. Planning should support life, not try to control it. What's different in 2026? Longer planning horizons feel unrealistic because things are changing so quickly. There's too much unpredictability for having rigid plans, and our nervous systems are tired of pressure-based planning. Women in particular are craving more flexibility, more relevance, plans that adjust to the reality. And planning now more than ever needs to be more about supporting you, not controlling you. If, like some of my clients, you might be creating plans that look good, but you're not using them. They might be overly broad or they might be aspirational goals. You might start reflection, but you don't actually finish the process. You feel perfectionism is creeping into your planning process. And you're feeling antsy. You want to move forward before you fully finished reviewing what you're doing. If you, like many of my clients, are thinking, I plan and I don't really even follow it, or my plans look good, but I just don't use them. I get partway through the process and then I stop. Or maybe you're thinking, I'd make it too complicated. I just want to move on to the next thing. Here's some of the things that I'm telling my clients when they feel this way. Let's make this simpler. Bullets, not essays. This isn't about doing it perfectly. When you're rewinding and reflecting, you're just gathering facts. You're not judging them. You don't have to bring emotion to the party. And again, I'm telling my clients, you are not behind. Your plan should feel supportive, not heavy. And if it doesn't, then change the plan. I'm helping my clients to turn their plans into more living documents that they're looking at and using every day, using accountability so that they can complete processes and create plans they trust and they actually follow. Right, time for challenge number 4. I'm saying yes to too much and I am paying for it. Yes, it's the B word. A lot of my clients are expressing that they feel like they have weak or exhausting boundaries. What does this really look like? Well, it looks like boundaries that might literally be missing because we're not valuing ourselves enough in some areas of our lives. Why are we missing boundaries so often? Well, we're often missing boundaries because women are natural problem solvers. We care deeply about what we're doing, no matter what it is. And we have been rewarded for being available. And so we say yes until we're depleted. Now, why is this harder right now than ever? Because technology has removed these natural stopping points, and work and life are bleeding together. Emotional labor, taking care of other people, has increased, and we need to be even more intentional with our boundaries right now. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're how you stay resourced enough to be able to lead, to serve, and to care. What's different in 2026? We're always on. There's always access. These blurred lines between work and family and our availability, emotional labor has increased, not decreased, and many women are default problem solvers. Boundaries used to be maybe a little bit optional. Now they really are our way of protecting ourselves. So the momentum reframe is boundaries are survival skills as we step into 2026. If you're saying to yourself, I am saying yes to too much and I am paying for it, then you're experiencing weak boundaries with work, family, clients, or everyone. Do you feel guilty when you say no? Are you catching yourself absorbing other people's emotion and crisis and stress? Are you overcommitting out of obligation? You might even be starting to feel some resentment and definitely some depletion of yourself and your capacity. If you're thinking things like, I don't know how to say no without feeling bad, by the time I realize I'm overwhelmed, it's already too late. My clients are telling me that they feel like they keep putting themselves last, that they are just taking on more than they know they should. Here's what I'm saying to them. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is a huge one. Let's decide your no's ahead of time. That's why the not to-do list is so key. Look at what are you protecting right now? What do you want to put boundaries around? And you're allowed to choose what you put boundaries around and what you don't. And realize that your energy is a resource. It's not an afterthought. Boundaries create clarity. They are decision filters. You can create pre-written scripts for saying no to things with ease ahead of time. Setting up physical and environmental boundaries around time blocks and phone rules. Increasing their emotional intelligence tools so that they can stay firm and steady, and helping them to give themselves permission to prioritize their energy over their expectations. Once we do that, they're feeling like they have stronger boundaries without feeling guilty, and they have more personal space and more capacity for the greatness as they step into this year. Quite a few different challenges, some of them resonating with you. We're going to keep going. We've got 3 more. Number 5, I'm underpaid for my expertise and I know it. Does this resonate with you? Now, this is not about greed. A lot of my clients are telling me I'm tired of doing so much for so little return. I don't want to keep proving myself, or this isn't sustainable, growing and extending themselves. When you don't honor your time and your energy and your value, there's a feeling of grief that comes up. So why does this feel louder now as we step into 2026? Well, time feels more precious. Energy feels more limited. and tolerance for misalignment is lower, which is a great thing. We've raised our standards. Now, when we feel in alignment with our value and what we're receiving, resentment disappears. Being underpaid for our expertise is also coming to a head right now as we step into 2026 because the cost of living has risen. We're feeling tighter. Time feels more precious. Women are more aware of the gap now between the effort and the reward. In 2026, what I'm seeing is that we have less tolerance for low value work. We've raised our standards. We have less tolerance for emotional labor, taking care of other people without being compensated for it. And for proving ourselves by overgiving. As business owners, we're in for the long game. We need to be sustainable, and that requires alignment, not sacrifice. If you're catching yourself thinking, I'm underpaid for my expertise and I know it, it might be because you have low value clients that are draining your time and energy, and it's time to shift that. Maybe you've got outdated pricing or service models. Maybe you have a difficulty articulating your value or a fear of raising prices or repositioning yourself. And what you're doing is you're overgiving to prove your worth. If you're thinking things like, I know I'm not charging what I'm worth, some of these clients drain me, or I'm doing too much for too little return. Maybe you might be thinking, I don't want to keep proving myself, or I want to be paid for my brain, not just my time. When my clients are telling me things like that, what I'm coaching them to do is stop selling your time and start selling your expertise. I'm asking them, who do you actually want to work with? And what are you known for? Even if you never said it out loud before, I'm helping them to design a life and a work that feels sustainable. I'm telling them you don't need more clients. You need a better alignment with your pricing and your capacity. And when I work with them on these solutions, they're able to amplify their unique value. They can give themselves premium positioning and offer refinement. They can package their expertise into higher leverage formats and let go of some of the low value services that maybe they've outgrown. Finally, they're able to align that pricing with their experience and their impact. And you know what happens when you do that? You get better clients, better pay, and more respect. All right, it's time for number 6, which is a hot topic. What I'm hearing from a lot of my clients is my systems and tech are stressing me out. A lot of women feel embarrassed by struggling with technology. They think they should have this figured out. They should know how to do this. But the systems that they're using were often built quickly, put together just for the bare necessities. Maybe the systems that they're using were built for smaller or simpler businesses, and now they've grown. As we step into 2026, this feels heavier now because our capacity is low. We have less patience, and clunky systems cost us more mentally. Systems and technology should reduce your thinking. And if they don't, they need to change, not the person using them. So why is this so key right now as we step into 2026? We've got more tools than we have ever had before. More automation is expected, and we have less patience for clunky systems that are slower. Technology that once felt fine now often feels draining, embarrassingly slow, or time consuming compared to some of the other options. If we want to reframe this, we need systems that match our current capacity, not systems that match our past one. If you're thinking my systems and tech are stressing me out, what it might look like is that you have scattered tools and logins everywhere, clunky websites or outdated platforms. Maybe you have manual workarounds for challenges and you're losing a lot of time, or you have a hard time seeing everything, like your numbers and your metrics, and you have tech anxiety and decision fatigue that is caused by that. If you tend to say to yourself often, I can't find the link to that, or everything's scattered, or I feel dumb when it comes to tech, or maybe you're saying to yourself, this should be easier than it is. Or you might be feeling like, I lose time just trying to manage the tools that are supposed to save me time. Here's how I am coaching my clients around that. You don't need more tools. You actually need fewer tools now. In terms of logins and links and passwords, I'm encouraging them to pick one place that everything lives in. I'm telling them your system should reduce your thinking, not require it. How can we make this simple and functional? We're taking the time to lean into the technology together and explore different options so that tech can support their lives, not run it. You can simplify and centralize your systems so that you have more things in one place. You can upgrade the platforms and align them to your current business stage. You can automate scheduling. Yes, please do. Shipping, tax, and tracking. Create dashboards so that you can clearly see what's going on with your metrics, and pair tools with habits in your planning rhythms. When I do this with my clients, they are feeling that their systems support their momentum instead of draining it. Technology can be tamed, and I encourage you to invest the time to do that. One system, one platform, one piece at a time. Our final challenge. I don't feel like myself. There's a quiet loss of self that is going on. It's not a dramatic burnout like I've seen in the past. It often sounds like I'm tired, but not in a way that can be fixed by more sleep, or I don't know what I want anymore. It might come up as I don't want to quit. I just want this to feel better. It's really subtle but powerful. Many women have succeeded by overriding their systems themselves. And now their bodies and their intuition are asking for a different approach. The answer? It's not more discipline like it was in the past. It's actually more space, reconnection, and self trust. Many women succeeded by putting themselves last. Now that strategy is failing emotionally and physically, and there's a deep desire for more meaning, for more ease and alignment. Now, this isn't burnout that demands quitting. It's misalignment. It's craving space. The reframe here is to use goals not for motivation, but to reconnect you with what's important. I don't feel like myself anymore. Are you hearing yourself thinking or saying that? Do you have a loss of clarity, joy, or purpose? Does your identity feel tied to productivity or responsibility? Have you been ignoring health and emotional needs? Maybe there was little time for reflection or renewal because you've been go, go, go. If you're catching yourself like my clients saying, I'm tired, but not in a way that sleep fixes, I feel disconnected from myself. Maybe you're thinking, I don't even know what I want anymore. On paper, everything looks fine, but something feels off. You might be saying, I don't want to quit. I just want to feel better. When I'm coaching my clients around this, first and foremost, I'm letting them know nothing is wrong with you. You're not broken. And I'm saying, let's create some space so that you can hear yourself again. I'm encouraging them to design support systems and plans for who they are right now. And I'm letting them know that they don't need to push harder. I'm using tools with them like reflection and taking inventory so that they can reconnect. We're creating rituals and planning that create more space. Definitely emotional intelligence and self-trust tools, giving them permission to slow down strategically. And I'm helping them design a life and a business that feels aligned with who they are right now. As I do this, they feel grounded, energized, and they're starting to feel like themselves again. I hope that you've resonated with some of these both challenges and solutions. Let's just rewind a little bit of what we've just covered. So first and foremost, I want you to realize that no, you're not crazy. There is this collective feeling as we step into 2026 that business feels a little bit heavier. Our capacity feels a little bit smaller, and what used to work doesn't anymore. If that's what you're feeling, it is normal. A lot of people are feeling the same way. I'm seeing this across almost every single woman that I work with. And it's not motivation. The problem is that we are moving into a different season and we need different structure to support that. And here's a reminder of those 7 core challenges. Number 1, feeling busy, but without feeling like you're making any progress. You're working full days, but you're not feeling any movement forward. There's a lot of output, but not a lot of completing things. And you might be thinking to yourself, I should be further along. But remember, progress is going to come from subtracting things, not adding. Number 2, too many transitions at once, right? Business models shifting, roles changing, your identity of who you are lagging behind the reality that you're living, and decision fatigue. You don't need to change and plan everything at once. Give yourself permission to create one shift or change at a time. Number 3, planning no longer fits your real life. You have plans that look good, but they don't get used. The reframe here is to create plans and goals that actually excite and inspire you. Find ways that you can step into a way of planning still, but without feeling the pressure that the old school plans used to create for you. It's time to shift the way you plan. Number 4, weak or exhausting boundaries. Saying yes out of obligation is out. Carrying other people's emotions, out. Having no space left over for yourself, out in 2026. The reframe here is to use boundaries to protect your time and your energy. And this is actually going to help with a lot of the other challenges that we're talking about here as well. Number 5, feeling like you're being underpaid for your expertise. You feel like you've got too much effort for too little return, or you're doing low value work and it's crowding out all the meaningful work that you want to do. And there's this little quiet resentment. The reframe that needs to happen here is for you to revisit your pricing, your packages, your client base, and the services that you're providing so that they're more in alignment with who you are today. Number 6, technology is adding stress instead of supporting you. You might be feeling that you've got scattered tools everywhere. The reframe that needs to happen here is for you to invest the time in one piece of technology at a time or one task at a time, and really looking at how you can leverage, learn, and let go of some of the technology that you've been using. Number 7, that feeling like a quiet loss of yourself. You're not burned out enough to quit, but you're not energized enough to feel fully alive. It's like that success that you're feeling, but without the satisfaction you used to have. This is a signal to create space, not to push harder. This season requires fewer promises, clearer priorities, more intentional support, both with your tech, your systems, and your team. As we step into 2026, what if you step in with the intention that it's going to be quieter, it's going to be cleaner, and it's going to be more sustainable for you as a business owner? Now, as you do your weekly momentum this week, here's some questions that you might want to ask yourself. What worked for me before that no longer fits? Where am I carrying more than this year requires? How am I carrying or holding on to things that are not a good fit for 2026? And what does support look like for me now going into 2026? You are not behind. Say it out loud. You're adapting. That's a strength. My clients don't come to me saying, I need productivity coaching. They come saying, something feels off. I'm overwhelmed and I don't know why. And together we translate that into clarity, structure, next steps, and momentum. If you're thinking, that sounds exactly like me, that's the kind of clarity I need some help with coaching. I've dropped a link in the description for you to book a clarity session. Everything that I talked about today came from over 60 hours of real coaching conversations with real women just like you in business. Different women, different stages, same themes for a lot of them. Now, if you feel like you'd like some support sorting through what this year is asking of you, coaching is a great way for you to get clear and see what would actually help you right now. Because once again, you're not behind, you're adapting, and you are in momentum. Before we wrap up today, if any part of today's conversation resonated, it doesn't mean something is wrong. It means you're paying attention. Momentum doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from clarity and space and choosing what matters in this season that we're stepping into. If this episode was helpful, I would love for you to subscribe and share it with a friend or leave a review. It helps more women find this space. Until next time, keep creating momentum one clear, intentional step at a time.